Good afternoon. Welcome to the Deal Doctor live stream. Today, Eric Graham and myself, are going to
Hello.
talk a little bit about backup offers. Should you take them? And if you do take one, how do you protect your seller client from potential lawsuits? So I'm going to give it to Eric right away. What do you think about backup offers, Eric?
Well, my honest initial response is I hate them.
And tell us why you tell everyone at home why you hate them.
Well, it seems to be that when we have backup offers or a signed backup offer, we tend to lose focus on the original offer because maybe that backup offer is a better offer. Maybe the sellers that we're working with say, I have the secondary backup offer. So you know what? I'm not going to negotiate in good faith with this. I might self-sabotage my primary offer. So then what ends up happening? Lawsuits. That's why backup offers.
So let's run through a scenario here that many of us have seen. We've actually experienced. You sell a house for $300,000. Just make a nice round figure. You sell it for $300,000. It's got inspections. It's got appraisals, contingencies, well and septic, and title work, and all of the typical contingencies that you would have in a normal purchase agreement. And you get that into place, and the clock starts ticking with all of the timelines for inspections and so on. And along comes somebody who missed out. Oh gosh, they missed out. And so they decide that they're going to write an offer for $385,000, cash, no appraisal, no inspections. And now what do? Now you're faced with, what do I present this? And under law, unless your seller has indicated in the original listing contract that they don't want to see additional offers when they come forward, your responsibility is to share it with them and say, but by the way, you can't do anything with this unless that first offer is terminated for some reason. And then they go, aha, how do we get to terminate it? Well, give us the ideas about how we're going to terminate that first offer, because, hey, it's like 75, 80 grand more, with some $75,000 or $80,000 more to accept that new offer, because it's all shiny and bright, than to move forward with the first offer, which is already in process. Is that what I'm hearing, Eric?
Yes, you're hearing that loud and clear.
Okay, so what has happened in our experience, in both of us? What has happened in our experience that with that first offer, when you get that beautiful, shiny second offer?
Yeah, so there are some very good attorneys out there.
Yes, there are. And very often those attorneys, when the seller submarines that first offer and comes up with, they start acting in bad faith, or they decide that they're going to terminate an offer, when they don't have the right to terminate the offer. Now the attorneys come forward. And the attorney for the first offer comes forward, but if you presented that other one as a backup offer and accepted it as a backup offer, now that attorney may come forward because the seller, through you, may have represented that first offer has become null and void. Correct?
Correct.
Aha. So are there any good times to accept a backup offer? Is there ever a good time to accept a backup offer?
Well, in my opinion, I don't like backup offers because I'd rather focus on the primary offer that I have in hand, and then recast my net out to a larger group. You might think that backup offer is great, but if you put it back on the market, maybe there's even a better offer. But you'll never know because you've already accepted that backup offer.
So explain to us, Eric. You're saying that should that first offer terminate for whatever reason, you're saying cast the net out there, cast the listing out there back onto the market to see if there might be new players out there who would compete with what the backup offer was that was presented after the first one went into effect. Correct?
Yeah, that's one option. Correct. That's an option.
Okay.
The other option is sometimes we have that golden ticket that Willy Wonka has presented.
All right.
And we're very excited.
Okay, so let's talk about the Willy Wonka ticket. Let's talk about that really, really shiny object, that shiny offer that's $50,000 or $75,000 higher than the original offer that was accepted, and it has all the bells and whistles. No inspections, no appraisal, $10,000 non-refundable earnest, whatever you want, make it up, and sometimes they do. Do you have some risk of losing that offer if you don't put it in a backup position?
There's always two stories of this, right? Someone wants something that they can't have. You give it to them. Maybe they end up rescinding their offer because now they already got what they wanted. They start processing it and going, well, maybe I really didn't want to spend that much money as a backup offer.
So do they have the right to rescind the backup offer once it's been accepted as a backup offer?
If they write it in the language, and that's where you got to read the language. Because they might be able to rescind that offer up until the time that they are notified.
So you're saying that these words have meanings?
Yes. And there's a lot of details in these.
Yeah.
And
so there's language. We've actually created a couple of options here in our conversations this morning that talk about some of the language that can be used. And I'm just going to pull it up real quick. So it's in front of me. Here's one that Eric wrote, for example. It says, buyer acknowledges that this agreement is a backup offer, which shall be effective only in the event that the closing on the prior purchase agreement on the property does not take place for any reason. Buyer acknowledges nothing in this agreement shall in any way restrict the right of the seller to modify the terms of the prior agreement as the seller deems advisable and in their sole discretion. All timelines and effective dates shall commence upon written notice from the seller that this offer is now the primary offer. Buyer reserves right to rescind this offer at any time prior to being notified that the offer is now the primary offer. That covers a lot of bases, doesn't it?
It sure does. And it really protects that seller in that primary position to be able to extend that primary purchase agreement or contract. What we've seen, and there's a lot of times, is that if there's an extension that's involved, that backup offer may have said, hey, look, you need to close on or before a certain date. But the primary offer all of a sudden goes, wait, we cannot close now. So that makes that backup offer, meaning that the primary person is in breach of contract. There's two offers. And the language in there needs to be specific that that backup offer doesn't take effect until that primary one is dissolved or terminated. And a lot of times we don't see that language in there. So potentially someone gets up and has two contracts becoming active.
So I'm sorry, did we mention attorney? Because this is a prime example right here that Eric has just presented, which is where an attorney for the backup offer buyer would step forward and go, wait a minute, you had a deadline in there that said it had to close by a certain date, and you had no right to change that, extend that. And so it went dead the moment that you didn't close by that date, which means that our offer, the backup offer, is now in effect, right?
Correct.
And I think that actually happened recently, if I recall. And I do recall. So anyway, so we have to be very careful about the language that we put into the acceptance of a backup offer if a seller wants to go down that road. And there are pitfalls to that. It can still happen. And maybe a buyer would say, and a buyer's agent would say, you know what, let's get this accepted as a backup offer, because if that first buyer even stubs their toe, we have the opportunity to move into first place without letting it go back on the market. And to your point, that's really a benefit to that buyer, the second buyer, and not necessarily to the seller. Wouldn't you agree?
I would, yes.
That's what you said earlier. So I know that you've got an appointment you got to run to here today, but what we're going to do is we're going to post that language up on the Facebook Connect page so that people can see how they go about accepting a backup offer to protect the seller in their position. And any additional thoughts? We're going to make this a short one today, but
and it's also going to protect that backup offer if they end up getting accepted with their timelines, because that's always a critical point when those timelines will begin. So that language also addresses that.
Exactly. And that can be negotiated. Let's say, for example, the seller says, yeah, I'll accept this backup offer, but I want them to do their inspections and order their appraisal now because I don't want that to be a hurdle in the future. Well, that may require that they shell out some money, but so be it. That's how you're protecting your seller, to make sure that those issues aren't issues after that second offer becomes effective, after that backup offer becomes effective. So those are our thoughts for today. Eric and Don's thoughts for today. And with that, if you have any questions, post them on the Facebook page. We'll answer them as best we can. And everyone have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye now.